Hot springs and geysers have to be one of the coolest things in geology. That mix of groundwater in an aquifer interacting with hot rocks, maybe magma, and then that groundwater blasting up to the Earth's surface. The temperatures range from 30 degrees to 104 degrees Celsius. The water is usually really high in dissolved minerals. The hot springs are going to develop when there is interactions along faults or in highly geothermal regions. In the United States, we think of Yellowstone National Park. I've not been there, but if you have, you know what I'm talking about, where you have pools of bubbling hot mud. You have geysers that, like Old Faithful, that are going to shoot hot water and steam up into the air periodically. And then there's the just hot springs on the, throughout the national park. That is the highest density of hot springs and geysers anywhere else on Earth. So how do they work? So cold water, let's look at this image here. Here's the hot springs and geysers at the surface. And at the bottom, here's magma and hot rocks. So cold water from the infiltration at the surface is going to percolate down through the unsaturated zone into the saturated zone. It gets deeper and deeper and interacts with those hot rocks. And then it's going to rise up to the Earth's surface as it expands. Here's some images of hot springs. This is in Iceland. They're very commercial tourist attractions where you can go and pay for the day to spend the day in a hot spring. Sounds lovely. Here on the right is a hot spring that shows the different colors. Some of the colors is from the precipitation of minerals, and some of it is from bacteria's thermophiles that love being in that hot water environment. And the upper right is an image of travertine. The minerals that are carried, those ions that are carried in that hot water, can precipitate out at the surface. And when they do, one mineral that comes out of solution is travertine. It's a calcium carbonate, CaCO3, like it's a kind of calcite. So it's a kind of limestone that precipitates out of hot springs. The boiling water is going to force the geysers to the surface and above the surface. The water's heated to a boiling point in what they're calling a vertical spring. So the water, instead of just trickling out, is going to blast out of the Earth's surface. It builds up over time, and when that steam gets high enough is when it's going to essentially explode out of the hole that is the geyser. The water then can come back into the chamber where the hot rocks are. When it heats up, and then it's going to blast again. And then the cycle continues as more water comes into that chamber near the hot rocks.